Hello and welcome to YOGAZ Mat Chat. Thank you so much for being here and present today. Last week, we talked about what is a balanced life. And today, what I'd like to talk about is a real life case study. It's with somebody that I worked with, somebody I actually spent 3 years of my life with. And I want to show how it ties into living a balanced life. If you recall, we were referring to health as emotional health, mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. So I remember the first time I met with Maria, it was a really cold fall day. We had agreed to meet at her apartment that afternoon. So after verifying it with text, etc., I pulled into her apartment parking lot, and I really had to prepare myself mentally, because no matter how many times I met a person for the first time, I didn't know what I was walking into that day. And I really didn't know what I was walking into with Maria. So somebody let me into her building, and it was a secured building. And I just simply walked down the hall. I wasn't really sure where I was going. So when I came up to her door, I took a real deep breath, and right away I inhaled some smoke. And it was obviously coming from her apartment. And this was a non-smoking building. So I knocked on the door, and I thought, no answer, right? I didn't hear anything. So I was thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe she forgot. I mean, we had only texted about an hour before. So I just sat there for a minute, and I knocked on the door again, and then I heard this, "Come on in!" And it wasn't a very friendly "come on in." So I opened the door, and I walked into her kitchen and kind of down the hall, but I could see in her living room it was pretty dark, and I was making my way, and I could hear, "I'm back here in my office." So I followed her voice, and I walked into her bedroom, and I could see she was sitting on the toilet, and with a flush, she got up and opened the door, and she says, "How did you get in here anyway?" As she's grabbing her walker, and she says, "This is a secured building," and she walks past me, practically knocking me over on her bed, and she grabbed her cigarettes, and so as she walked past me, she says, "Follow me." So we go back up through the hall. I'm following her back into her kitchen, and she grabs a chair, and she grabs this box, and I kind of look in the box, and there's some things to make, like roll your own cigarettes and so forth, and she says, "Well, there's some cold coffee over there if you want it. It was from this morning." And I grabbed my chair and put my bag down, and so I said, "I'm Barbara," and I pulled up a chair, and so she says to me, "What, do you want a award or something for showing up?" And I knew that she was being sarcastic, but underneath all that sarcasm, I could see the fear in her eyes. And I just saw the most beautiful smile I'd seen in such a long time. And I had a sense that she just had so much fear, anxiety, sadness, and grief. And so I was being really open and honest, and I said I was just hoping that we could work on some goals, together, you and me, we could meet up. But I said, I actually have to do a functional assessment if we are going to work together. And right then, when she heard that word, she says, "What, you think you can do some psychological mumbo jumbo on me? That BS?" She went on, and she says, "You can just take your hoity-toity attitude and get out of here, just leave." She says, "I'm surprised you even showed up. I'm a nobody, nothing, Just leave. Just leave." The silence seemed to linger much more than the 5 seconds that it actually was. So I said, "Well, okay, you can call my office and we can always reschedule." I grabbed my stuff and I just went back to my car, and I actually held back my own tears. I wanted to quit that very day. But I saw something in Maria that I had to stay. So later that day, I got a call from my office that schedules my appointments for me. And I found out Maria did not like me. Nope, she didn't like me. We all agreed, though, that we were going to give it just another chance, another try. And I guess she had already seen so many people, and I think she kind of figured that I was her last chance. So the next time we had agreed to meet, Maria and I, and we decided to just walk across the street to the park by her house. And I really didn't want to be in her apartment due to all the smoke and everything. It was one of the last nice days of fall. So I walked up to her, and at first it seemed kind of awkward, and right away I could tell she started to cry. She was crying. She actually and sincerely said, "Thanks for coming back. I wasn't sure if you would. None of the others that I've treated like this have ever come back." So she was looking down on the ground, and she looked up and she just says, "I have so many problems and issues, and why would you even want to work with me?" And I said, "Maria, I'm not here to fix you, but maybe we can just figure some things out together." And we just had an honest talk, and so that planted the seed. And then the next question, I says, "Well, what do you want in life?" And boy, did she have a list of things. She came up with about 10 things, and I was really surprised, but here they are. So the first thing she said is, "I really need to forgive myself. The people, they've done some bad things to her, and so mostly it was like, I just really need to forgive myself." So that was the first number one thing that she came up with. Number two, she said, "I cannot stand where I'm living, and I just really want to move out of here." And then number three, she had had love in her life and so forth, but she said, "I just want to love again. I want to feel that love." Another one that was really big for Maria that I remember, because her doctor had told her that she was obese. So she said, "I want to lose some major pounds. I've been called fat my whole life." She felt really self-conscious about that one. "I want to feel happy. I'm so depressed every day. I just want to feel that happiness again. I feel numb." That was a big one. She says, "I'm just taking so many medications." When she told me how many medications she was taking, I could not believe it. At that point in her life, she was taking 20 medications a day. And one of the next ones made me actually jump for joy, because it reminded me of my own childhood. But she said, "I really want to get a bike, and I want to ride a bike, and I want to swim again in that lake right over there." And she pointed to the lake down the road. She used to do that as a kid, so she was having these happy memories come back. The other thing she came up with was, "I would like to become a member of a church again." It brought back fond memories when she was a child, so that was really important to her, and she wanted to bring that back in her life. And the last one, which was really going to be big and hard for her, was, "I wanted to quit eating all this garbage food," and she just admitted, "I'm an addict." Over the course of time, her and I, we did show up fully for each other, and I'm not going to lie, we had some rough patches, believe me. We followed the YOGAZ curriculum, and something truly amazing happened right before my eyes. She began to focus. Maria focused on herself, and she was living in the present moment. She just really began to honor herself, and she let the past go. She honored the past, let it go, and she just wasn't worried about the future. And I had told her over and over again, I said, we're not fortune tellers. So she wasn't so anxious about the future anymore. And that's when the real change in her life began for her. So over the course of time, I came to realize quite a few things about Maria. And one big thing was, even though she basically couldn't forget, the things that had happened to her in the past, but she was willing to forgive. So that was a huge thing. I'd come to find out that the reason that she wanted to move is because most of her neighbors were addicts and drank, and the cops were called, and she just was done with that part of her life. She was just wanted to give that up. Through the course of our time together, I came to find out that she had equated sex with love, and that's just the way she was brought up. So she had relationships that were fractured due to that, and she just really wanted honest communication with people that didn't revolve around sex all the time. Maria had been overweight pretty much all her life, and she didn't even know what it felt like to eat healthy. She had no clue. Whenever she looked in the mirror, she told me she just would see this fat little girl staring back at her, and she just couldn't get that image out of her mind. It was just totally disgusting to her whenever she looked at herself. And I'd come to find out again about the medications that she had been taking one pill after another and hoping to find this magic one pill that would work for her, which didn't ever happen. And so she wanted to walk once again without a walker. She wasn't even that old. I mean, I don't even know how old she was, but she was probably in her 50s, and she had had a walker to walk with assistance for quite some time by that time. And as our time that we worked together, it was just so precious, and we would go to the grocery store and just have so much fun together, and we'd look at all the colorful vegetables and she hadn't heard of. And right before my eyes, it was just amazing. It was just like the weight just began to fall off her, and her smile, it was just so infectious, and I would see her interacting with other people. One of the hardest things I would have to say that was for her to give up was Mountain Dew. And pretty much every time we'd go to the store, she'd get one of those, I don't know, what is that, a liter of Mountain Dew. So she was really proud. One day I showed up and she says, "You're not gonna believe it, I'm not drinking Mountain Dew anymore, but I'm drinking Diet Mountain Dew." But I had to break it to her, and I had to tell her that that's not going to work either, Maria. I said, you know, eventually what you're just going to want to stick to is coffee, tea, or water. I worked with Maria for 3 years, and it was finally time for us to wrap things up, and it was so bittersweet. Maria was able to actually let go of the past and really live in the present moment. She was following the YOGAZ curriculum, and I was so proud of her. She had done everything that she had set out to do, and wow, I was just so shocked, and I was just so happy for this woman that I'd come to know. She really forgave herself. She ended up moving, and she made actually really good friends, and I was so proud of her. She lost the weight that she said she was going to. The walker, that was gone. She ended up buying a bike. She went swimming, because I remember I went swimming with her one day, and we were laughing all the time. We were just having so much fun together. I remember it was supposed to be our last time we were going to meet together, and she says, "Barbara, I want you to come to the AA meeting that I'm going to, and I'm going to tell my story." And I wanted to be there so bad. But that week, my dad ended up passing, and I couldn't be there. I was so sad, because I wanted to be there to support her. And I knew she was strong enough. I knew that. I knew she could do it. Overall, she just turned into this warm and caring and wonderful person. And I just always knew that deep down inside, that was who she was, Maria, the person I'd come to know. Well, the fire's almost out, and my tea is almost gone. But Maria and I, at our last meeting, it was tear-filled. And we had been through so much together. But in the end, we knew we loved one another. We accepted each other, our differences. We just ended up going our separate ways and living for the day. So thanks so much for joining today for Matt Chat. You may have recognized some areas in your life that you would like to work on. So in the next few weeks and months to come, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'll go through how we helped Maria and others in different ways and how to live a healthy and balanced life. And remember, YOGAZ, it's about you.